my necro hands. Before we get started on anything, I want to say thank you so much. We made 5,000 subscribers. Holy crap, I mean, that's awesome, right? I think that's awesome. I'm definitely gonna have wine and a burger about it. Have you ever done that thing where you hyperventilate faster than the speed of light in like less than 1 second? Because that's what I did when I saw that we reached 5K subscribers. Thanks for sticking around and watching this ridiculous show as long as you have. Anyways, this week I am doing a long-awaited tutorial, how I do body paint for LARP, meaning how to change your skin tone to a fantasy skin tone. What? Now, there are a couple different methods that you can use for body painting for the sake of durability, but I am going to show you guys the water-activated makeup method. You can use alcohol-based makeup and it will definitely stay on through an entire LARP, no problem. But it's a little bit more advanced to work with as far as the required skill level, and to take it off you have to use 99% alcohol and potentially scrub your entire body with that. And that can lead to some irritation if you don't take care of your skin properly. It can really dry your skin out, cause some stinging. So instead, I'm going to show you how I make water-activated makeup stay on for as long as possible. And because I'm me and can't do anything ever like a normal person, I just created this whole Ice Queen character because, why not? And I want to say thank you to Aaron, who is one of our patrons on Patreon and now a friend of mine, for suggesting the lilac color, or rather solidifying that lilac was the color that I should definitely do. You make a good argument. Anyway, let's dig in. I have started out with just a little bit of foundation on my face to even it out. Totally optional, you don't have to do this. And yes, I'm well aware that I look like the ghost of Christmas stress dreams, so let's just table that whole discussion and move on. What I have got here is Mayron Barrier Spray. It is a final top sealant coat, but haha, I am putting it on a makeup sponge and putting it on my face like a primer. What? Because creating a barrier between your skin and the makeup is going to help it stay on much longer. It is going to help protect the makeup from the oils that your skin produces over the course of a day. And Mayron Barrier Spray in particular is a little bit fumey, so be careful when you're doing it around your eyeballs. But you're going to want to put it everywhere that you are going to color a different magical fantasy color. And, by the way, whether you use setting spray first or last or both, you always want to use a makeup sponge to apply it. This ensures even coverage. You really don't want to leave the final setting coverage of your makeup to the whim of a cheap plastic spray bottle. So, use a makeup sponge to apply it. You will thank me later. I promise. And once the spray is all evenly applied to your face, you're gonna want to take your body paint. I am using Mayron Paradise paint. It's my absolute favorite body paint. It's nice and velvety and silky, and a foundation brush. And this is normally activated by spraying water onto it. I am actually using more of the setting spray just for the first layer. If you put too much of the setting spray mixture on, it will end up crumbling off of your face because it won't be flexible enough. So, first go, we're using setting spray. I tend to try to have brush strokes going in all different directions to sort of help buff it out and feather it, but what really helps you get an even coat is to make sure that your color mixture is not too thin. It needs to be fairly thick. Think like almost the consistency of wet acrylic paint, like the kind of cheap thin kind. That will really help you avoid blotchiness in your pigment. And now we do a little bit of the dry me dance. Oh. And once that's pretty well dry, we're going to go on to coat number 2. The trick to doing multiple coats of water-activated makeup is to make sure that your brush is super loaded with pigment so that it glides and does not drag at all across your skin. Otherwise, it's going to pick up the old pigment and create blotches of just human skin. And we don't want human skin. That's not why we're here. And again, this is the coat where you want to start using water rather than setting spray, because you don't want it to crumble off your face. After that, you let it dry completely. And once it's completely dry, you will probably look like a Yeti's big toe, but not to worry. We're about to fix that. We're about to give you your face back. or I'm about to give me my face back. I am using Ben Nye cream makeups because they blend really well on top of Mayron Paradise paint. And I've just gotten a bunch of different colors and put them in my own little palettes, but you can buy them online. So I have taken a small itty bitty beauty blender, soaked it in water for a long time, squeezed it out, and I'm using a light lilac color that I just mixed from purple, white, and a smidgen of blue. And starting with, you know, sort of basic contouring, but I'm gonna go over it all here. You wanna give yourself your jawbone back. That's a pretty good place to start. As good a place as any. And it's super easy to blend with this tiny little beauty blender tool when it's pretty damp. And a link to everything I use will be in the description, so don't freak out. Just starting at the bottom of my face and working up for some reason. So I'm going with highlighting the nose and the forehead next. You know, really just giving my face the depth back that it has naturally, that completely gets ruined when you slap one monochrome color over the entirety of it. And next we're starting with adding a highlight to the under eye and cheek area in sort of a back sweeping motion. And because of this, you can see I'm starting to look a little bit less like an old dusty plastic grape and a little bit more like a human person with shapes on their face. Well, I guess not human. You get me. Just going back and doing a little touch-ups, blending in around the edges of the forehead a little. Really making sure it's got kind of a nice airbrushed look. Because, you know, you don't want to look like a creature that was made in nature. You want to look otherworldly and vaguely threatening. That's the dream. Then I'm gonna get in on doing the same thing to the collarbones, those nice clavicles, because you don't want your face to be looking all nice and finished and your body to look like a prune juice gummy bear. Can't have that. And then I'm going in and giving the depth back to the top of the boobles. This actually helps you look a little bit more sharp and bony because of the sharp shadow under the clavicle area, which I feel really adds to this whole Ice Queen feel. She should be sharp and scary looking, not soft and cuddly. And then I am going in and adding a similar highlight to the Adam's apple type area and also around the big sort of tendony areas on the neck. Any place that could potentially stick out and be more bony looking, you want to emphasize that, especially with a character that's supposed to be kind of intimidating, kind of cold, skeletal. I mean, not quite skeletal, but at least sharp and angular. And yes, Adam's apple. That's a male thing, I guess, whatever. Go eat a snowman. And now that I am fairly happy with where the highlights are placed, I am going in with a cerulean blue and a sort of dark purple for the shadows, for the real contouring work to begin. Because you really want a character like this to have sort of severe features, like you want to cut glass on those cheekbones. So, and really going in and just accentuating all the areas you want to be more severe, which for a character like this is everywhere. And really it's a bunch of noodling at this point, which is to say that you go in with the dark color, go and fix something with the light color, go back in with the dark color, really just work till you're happy. Now this wig that I have is technically a lace front wig, but because the color of my skin that is showing is not the same color that is going to be under the wig, I can't really use it like you normally use a lace front wig, which we will have a tutorial about pretty soon here. But what I'm doing instead is just using the contouring color and blending it into the hairline and under my forehead, just to help that transition look as seamless as possible. And this is something that I do whether I am wearing a wig or not. I always use the contouring color, like a darker color, and blend it into my natural hairline as well. Otherwise you're going to be able to see your normal human scalp, and that's just ratchet. I'm just doing a little bit of depth contouring on my nose and eyeballs. Trust me, you don't think you need this, but you kind of do, and it'll show up a lot in pictures if you don't what I call give yourself your face back after you paint your face like this. And now we're done with the basic skin, which means it's time to powder. Just want to powder the crap out of it, especially because everything that we're doing next is going to be using things like eyeshadow, and you don't want to apply eyeshadow directly on top of cream makeup. It'll grab it, it'll be blotchy. So you always want to give yourself a nice liberal dusting of powder between different types of makeups like that. And now that we've gone from a Weird Yeti's toe to a Fraggle Rock character, it's time to put on the actual beauty component of the makeup. I am using Kat Von D's liquid matte lipstick in Echo for both my eyebrows and my lips. Now it's time for the Kat Von D Alchemy palette, which is probably my favorite thing ever. Just iridescent rainbow pigments, and I'm using it in all the places where you'd normally put highlights, and I'm also putting it as the base color for my eyeballs, because why not? I'm breaking rules today. And I'm taking the blue pigment from that palette and putting it on top of the Kat Von D lipstick in Echo, and it creates this really lovely, weird, otherworldly shine. It's just, I mean, whew! And of course, not forgetting to add the shimmery highlight to the clavicle and the other areas, because, you know, we want to basically look like a human iceberg reflecting the aurora borealis. I mean, is that too much to ask? And I'm starting in with a shimmery blue eyeshadow. Even if you're not doing some crazy, beautiful, like high definition character, you're gonna want to give yourself a little bit of color back in the eyes and cheeks area. So if you do this with brown or pinks or whatever to make it look a little more natural, or whatever color suits the skin color you've chosen, you're still gonna want to do a little bit of this. I'm going pretty dramatic with some sort of strange cat eye style here. I'm just using that shimmery blue on top of that Alchemy palette color green. And then this guy, some eyeliner for your waterline. This is important when you do other worldly skin colors because it makes your eyes more defined. It really creates a separation and it hides the flesh tone of your eyelids. It's a pretty decent difference there, you see. And after both of those sides are done, going back in with some darker eyeshadow and just making it even more dramatic because, you know, things don't always show up on camera like they do in real life. And adding more of the green Kat Von D Alchemy palette color, just really blowing it out there. And now for another Mayron Paradise paint color. This is Silver. Now, I've already colored my eyebrows that dark blue purple, but what I'm doing here is activating it a little bit and just very lightly brushing it over the tops of the hairs of the eyebrow so that it doesn't actually change the color of the base that I've already drawn. This way, this is what I always do for light-haired costumes, because it lets you keep the definition of the brow while giving the illusion that your brows are the same color as your hair. And what I have got here is Graftobian Skin Sparkle. I love this stuff. It's probably my favorite magical fey glitter stuff, and I'm just putting it on the very inner corners of my eyeballs. I'm gonna put a little bit on my lips and a little bit on my eyebrows. I'm gonna call it a day. A little bit on the cheekbones as well. Can never have enough glitter. Ever. So after a small break to put in the contact lenses, which I really should have done first, but you know, I'm going to go in with that dark blue eyeshadow from before and really concentrate on blending that hairline in. And now it is time for mascara! Yay! Even if you're not doing a super feminine, beautimous character, you will still want to give your eyelashes a little bit of their color back because the body paint does color your eyelashes. If you are going for a very natural, no makeup but different skin colored person, try using some brown mascara. Now I am getting out that Paradise paint again after I've put on the rest of the costume because you always do your hands last. And just start to slather it on in a similar fashion.
Now because I want those frostbite hands and I want them to fade to black towards the end, I'm only putting on the paint towards the wrist and stopping before it actually gets into the palm hand area. And once I have got the first coat of that on, I am getting out, and this is going to sound weird, black food coloring. You can order this online or you can get it at bakeries. But the reason I'm doing this is because it sort of stains your hands, which means that it's going to stay on longer, and it acts almost like grease paint. It's really easy to spread into all the nooks and crannies. And it's actually fairly easy to wash off. At least it's a lot easier than alcohol paint. Plus it is food coloring, so unless you're allergic to food dye, it is safe for your skin. Now food coloring, of course, by itself will get all over the place if left unsealed on your hands, so you're gonna want to seal it. I have used alcohol paint, a color that I mixed myself, but the Pro Air ink that I often talk about on this show will be perfect for a top layer on that. You can also get hand socks. They're like really thin gloves made out of hose in different colors. I will link to the Etsy store that sells them if you don't want to paint your hands at all, which if you can avoid it, I would recommend that. Also, Wolf Cosmetics, their water-activated paint actually works really well on hands just by itself with minimal sealant. It crumbles off of your face when you apply it thick enough to cover your natural skin tone, but for your hands, it works amazing. So if you can match the colors, I would recommend using Wolf Cosmetics. But if you do decide to use paint, no matter what paint you use, please liberally powder your work. Protect your beautiful artwork.
If you guys like this makeup tutorial and you want to see more like it, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down, whatever. But more importantly, if you guys want to see me do an entire makeup tutorial based on your character concept, use the hashtag LHShowMe on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram to submit your idea. I will periodically pick some of these entries and do entire makeup tutorials based on them. What? It also doesn't have to be limited to your personal character concept. It can be a fantasy race or culture from your game. Emphasis on fantasy race and culture. I'm not doing black or brown face. Just shh. I am also going to start having a featured LARPer in every episode. If you make stuff, write stuff, sing stuff, or do anything innovative with any live action roleplay of any kind, I want to share the spotlight with you. All you have to do is be following us on social media so that I can find you. And I'm going to start the first ever featured LARPer with a friend of mine, Jonea Kemper. She is an incredibly talented LARP academic who has just written a really inspiring piece about why she loves LARP from the perspective of a woman of color. It is called We Deserve Legends. I think her work is so important, and I can't stress to you enough how much I would love it if you went and checked out her stuff at joneakemper.com. At least I think that's it. I'm gonna put the link in the description. So if I got that wrong, it'll be down there. That's all I've got for you this week, my nerds. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, we love you, we cherish you, and if you have any questions, comments, or emotional outbursts, please feel free to message us. We are on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, and Instagram. And as always, nerds, like us, subscribe to us, fight with us. But I don't want to get married, I want to go ride and shoot my arrow into the sunset. Oh my god, I need to be stopped.